Welcome to the Fulcrum Focus podcast. I'm your host, Gabe Ricks. We started the Fulcrum Focus to introduce you to business owners, leaders, and interesting people with interesting stories that I think will be of value to my listeners. Today, I'm excited to have a buddy of mine on the show, Jordan Bradford. Jordan is a partner and general manager at RPI Roofing. Jordan has been on the RPI Roofing management team for 12 years and has been part of a lot of strategic growth. And now RPI has locations all over the place. Jordan, thank you so much for being with me today and being here to share your time and your story. Welcome.
Thank you, Gabe. Thanks for having us on. And yeah, I'm excited about it.
Absolutely, man. Well, hey, if you would, Jordan, take 2 minutes and just tell me your story about how you got into the business and the kind of journey that you've been on to get you where you are today.
Yeah, so I've known RPI for a long time. So I've been with RPI for 12 years, but I probably knew of RPI for 15, 16 plus years. The owner founder of RPI went to the same church as my family. And then my mother started with RPI and worked for RPI for probably about 10 years. So that's how I came to know of RPI and John Reynolds, who's our founder and CEO. And in 2008, when I was in school, I was in construction management program at Georgia Southern. I came on as just a labor hand in the field and worked summer breaks, spring breaks, Christmas breaks, anytime to get on the roof and make some money. So that's kind of how I got my start. In 2011, when I graduated, I came on as an estimator. So I worked for 2 or 3 years estimating in our Savannah office. And around that time, we decided to make a move to Augusta because we had some estimating and project management needs here in our Augusta location. So I came up here. At the time, was just estimating and project management. And then a couple of years in Augusta, had the opportunity to become the general manager of our location here, and did that for several years. And a few years ago, had the opportunity to come on as a partner in our business. And that's my story.
Interesting. Well, Jordan, just out of curiosity, what has been your favorite job at RPI? Sometimes I say least favorite or favorite, but what's been your favorite job as kind of you've kind of come through the ranks? I mean, you started out kind of as the kid, and now you're a partner. You've seen lots of sides of it, of the business, I'm sure, and you've been involved in a lot of business decisions and strategy. What's been your favorite job at RPI?
I'd say my favorite job has been the interaction with customers and really customer satisfaction. You know, when somebody calls us with a roof leak or with a re-roof opportunity, they need a new roof on a commercial building. At that point, we start the process of going out, looking at it, developing the best scope of work for their budget, for their needs, and design that system tailor-made to what this customer and client needs and what their expectations are. We try to deliver on that, and walking a customer through that whole process has really been my favorite thing. Just that customer interaction and then the satisfaction of getting the opportunity with them, completing the project with them, and then delivering on their expectations is really my favorite, has been my favorite part. Now, there's a lot of good things that, there's a lot of good things, a lot of good positions in our company and in commercial roofing in general. We get to be outdoors a lot, which, a lot of our positions get to be outdoors. And I knew, kind of coming up, I was like, I want something where I can be mobile. I'm not just sitting in one spot all day long. And, so that's another enjoyable part, is being able to get out, go look at commercial buildings. And oftentimes we get to see some pretty cool things. We get to go on some pretty cool buildings, on their roofs to try and figure out what's their best solution for their situation. And that's really been my favorite part.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, normally when the average person hears of roofing, they think of shingles and somebody on a two-story house, but you guys actually focus on the industrial side and the commercial side. Yeah, I hear you on the, what I hear from you on that is you made it, you're a partner, but you're not just a partner who sits in front of a bookshelf behind you and make decisions. It's you still got boots on from time to time. You're still on in front of people and on roofs, and you still know how to relate to those folks. Jordan, one of my favorite questions to ask folks is, tell me the best compliment or insult. Insults are hard to come by. If somebody insults you enough that it's actually a compliment to you holding to your visions and values. What's the best comment or insult you've ever gotten from a client or a prospect or anybody that you've worked with?
Yeah, so both of those are kind of tough. I would say, from a best comment standpoint, this didn't happen all the time, but I had more than once someone think that I was the owner of RPI Roofing, before I was a partner. And I always thought that was a good comment to hear, like, oh, you don't own the company. I'm like, no, I don't. And, I always thought I was good, man. If they think I own the company because of the way I behave or act, or the way I make decisions or whatever, if they think that, then that's good. I always, I like hearing that. And I kind of tell our team now, that's the ownership level that you want to kind of give your customer experience. Like, if they think you own the company because you take such an ownership mentality with everything you do, that's a great spot to be. And it's a great mentality to take into a day to day. That's the only best comment I think I can think of. Insults, every company's had bad jobs, every construction company has had bad jobs. So, I can't think of a specific insult that I've received, but there's nothing that eats at me more than having an unsatisfied customer. So, working through those, not that they're necessarily insults, but if we ever have a bad review or anything like that, that's something that we as a team always jump on and make sure that we try and satisfy our customers and they have a great experience with us as much as we can. But I can't think of a specific insult that I have gotten from anybody off the top of my head.
Yeah, well, that's pretty impressive that especially somebody with a face that looks as young as yours that would think that you're the owner. I would think you would have a hard time buying bullets at Walmart because they're not sure you're 21 yet. So just seeing you and by your actions and responses that they assume that you just own the place is a pretty good compliment, I would say too. We'll do this. Hey, tell me a quick story about. Obviously, you've been around for a while. You've seen a lot of things. You've been part of. Had a lot of say about decisions that you guys have made, strategies, things like that. Tell me about a learning experience. Learning experiences typically aren't the funnest thing in the world, but if you could go back and change them, we typically wouldn't because we learned something pretty valuable from it. So tell me about maybe a learning experience that my listeners can know about and kind of glean from possibly your mistakes.
Yeah, so that you said the word right there, mistakes. Typically opportunities to learn come from mistakes you've made, right? So the first and largest mistake, or one of my bigger mistakes I've made in my career, is what I'll share. It's probably about maybe roughly 9 years ago or so, in my young estimating career. I made a mistake of leaving an allowance off of a project when I was still kind of learning what an allowance was. And it was a $50,000 allowance that I left out of our base bid price. So basically, my price should have been $50,000 more than it was. And when it dawned on me, the first thing you kind of want to do is like deflect, right? Like, it's not my, somebody should have looked over this, or this not it's not my fault. Somebody, that's kind of the first thing you want to do. And I think it really helped me learn, one, to analyze each one of those situations when you make a mistake, of kind of what I could have done differently, not cast blame on somebody else, and take some of that responsibility. I think I learned being able to take responsibility of some mistakes, because whenever a mistake's made, typically there's something that 2 or 3 or more people could have done to help have prevented the mistake, or maybe there's a process that we need to change. So how can we think about it differently rather than just pointing the finger? I think it helped me take responsibility of what I did. And I remember thinking of, like, how am I going to break this news to the owner, John Reynolds? Like, how am I going to tell him about this? This is going to be a painful conversation. And I remember thinking, all right, well, when I go to him, I want to have what I've done for myself that I'll never make this mistake again. Like, what can I implement for myself today? What process system can I implement for myself that will cause me to never, what box can I check or whatever that I won't make this mistake again? Like showing, hey, I've learned something from it. I'm going to do this from now on, so I know I won't make this mistake again, because every time I send out a bid or whatever, I'm gonna check this box, and I won't make this mistake again. I remember thinking that, and I developed a process for myself that worked. And anyways, I kind of broke the news to him. He wasn't happy, but he told me, he said, well, now you got to figure it out. How are you going to manage the job? Because then I had to manage the project. It was a pretty large project, and I had to manage the project and, try to manage it in a way to recoup, some of what the mistake I made, what I left off. And then, how am I not going to do this? What are we going to learn from, this mistake?
So you didn't go back. So you didn't go back to the customer and say, well, you didn't. Well, I think this is a very negative thing. I don't think you did this, but you didn't go back to the customer and say, hey, I screwed up. Sorry, this is $50,000 more. You basically worked with it and made it work out without having to go to the customer and saying, yeah, it's my fault. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I did. So, the way that this project was, it was a government type of project. So the bid was a hard bid, and, so there's really kind of no going back asking for more necessarily. And but I did go to them and I said, hey, look, guys, just so we're clear, whatever, I kind of made this mistake. I wanted them to know about it. Not that we were going to back out of the project or anything like that, but, we did kind of have a conversation on it. And, again, at the time I was a young estimator / project manager working with my operations guy on the job. So we did have that, that conversation. But I think, what's kind of funny coming out of that is, I implemented some things for myself to do. And I think this is what's kind of funny is you don't often realize this is, if you make a mistake, kind of what I learned out of it and what I implemented for myself, how that could potentially affect other people or people in the future that come afterwards. So, so I saw what I kind of started doing, and some of the things I changed for myself on the estimating side is I saw to where in the future, after I did it, other estimators that we had were using the same process that I developed for myself. They were using that same one, and it came from that mistake. The reason why it was created was from that mistake. And then, other people started using it, as years went on. So I thought that was really neat and something that you don't think of oftentimes. If we make a mistake, just, to not make that mistake again, and for future generations or years to come or whatever, that, they may use the same thing you implement to not, make that same mistake again. And oftentimes we're just thinking about ourselves. I wasn't thinking about anybody else when I did that, but I saw how it did affect other people, after I did it.
Yeah, that is a great, painful, but great story. I had a mentor about 23 years ago, share with me he is a small business owner, and one of his employees made a $10,000 error. So it wasn't 50, but it was 10, but it was also 23 years ago. And it was just an oversight. And the person said they brought it to him, told him, and said, well, I guess you're going to fire me now. I would certainly fire me. And he looked at him, he looked up and said, are you kidding? I just spent $10,000 investing in you. Heck no, I'm not going to fire you. Let's figure out how we can not do this again, and let's move forward. I just made an enormous investment in you, so you better not quit. You better not leave, and I'm certainly not going to fire you.
That's a similar response. That's a similar response that what I got. I'm not going to be the one. I'm not going to be the one making cleaning up your mistake like that. You're going to have to stick around to do that.
Yeah. So. Well, one of my last questions, Jordan, is RPI has obviously seen a lot of growth, been very blessed through the years with the different locations that you guys have opened up, and the clientele that you've worked with, and government contracts. I know you could probably give me 40, but if you could kind of boil down to one philosophy or strategies, or just how you run your business, what would it be for my listeners today?
Yeah, so I'll give you a couple. We have our core values that have actually shifted over the years. We kind of redeveloped our core values a few years ago when myself and one other guy came on as partners at RPI. But I'll give you a couple that have just been from the very start. One is it's two words. It's simply do right. And that's a phrase that has been around RPI as long as I can remember, before I was here. And that's very simple. But when you really think about it, it's in every situation. If we thought, what's right from wrong, what's right from wrong. Oftentimes, you got what's right from wrong, and then you choose to do the right decision. That's a choice that we get to make in our lives. Is number one, hopefully we all know right from wrong. Like hopefully we're trained in a way, here. But even in your personal life or whatever, right from wrong, and then it's your choice to do the right thing. So, I think that's been one thing that's been ingrained in our business is when things get tough, when things are hard, what's the right thing to do. And, that's what we try to do. We try to do the right thing in just about every situation, whatever the circumstances are. Let's do the right thing. And that's something that's been ingrained.
It's amazing how that's not asked often enough, probably.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, number one, you got to know right from wrong. That's a start. That's a start.
Yeah. Well,
so, some other things too, so our mission and vision has always been to be the preferred roofing contractor in the markets we serve. We don't want to be the cheapest, the most expensive, or, we want to be preferred. That's one thing that's been around for a long, long time is, and I think just about most of our employees could say that to you, is like, what's our mission? It's to be the preferred roofing contractor in the areas we serve. Preferred, we want people to prefer us in what we deliver. And, again, we've got several values, but I'd say lastly, is what I would call our passion, is to positively influence our employees, our customers, and our communities. That doesn't change. That doesn't change with what we do. Whether we did roofs or flooring or windows or whatever, whatever business. But what our passion is to really influence other people. That's we're lucky that, or we're blessed that we've had RPI to give us the opportunity to touch a lot of people. Our company touches a lot of people throughout every day. And, if we can influence other people, right? I mean, that's leadership, right? Is influencing other people. If we can influence other people in a positive way, every time we touch them, whether it's our employees, our customers, our community, our vendors, that's really what we want to do. We want to positively impact and influence those around us. So that would be our passion.
Yeah, fantastic, man. Well, Jordan, this has been an excellent conversation. I want to boil it down to one, but can I tell you one thing I learned from you today, Jordan?
Yeah.
I would love to talk about 6 or 7, but probably the biggest thing I learned from just hearing your story and hearing the answers to some of your my questions today was just operating in a manner that the people that I'm working with think that I own the company. Obviously, somebody who looks like they own the company, but they don't, has a lot invested, in what they do. And I think that would be a great comment to get if somebody got me confused with Brian Morris, our president. But I'm not. But I would act in a manner that people would think that I was, because of my integrity, my values, and the quality of work and conversation I was having. Well, thanks again, buddy. Well, tell my listeners how they could find RPI or find you if they want to know more about anything we've discussed today, or more specific for what you guys do.
Yeah, of course. So our website is rpiroof.com. You can find just about anything you need on there. Our phone number, the best phone number is 912-756-7663. That's our office line. And, we're on all social media, outlets as well. So
Yeah.
I mean, those are the best ways. I mean, the website, is probably the best way to find out everything else.
I don't really go into it, but you guys are in Augusta, Columbia, Lexington, Savannah.
Yeah.
Anymore?
So our, first office, corporate office is in Savannah, just outside Richmond Hill, Savannah area. Been in business there for over 20 years. And then our Augusta location, which has been around for 10 or 12 years. And our Columbia location, we opened up last year. So those are our 3 locations, but, we, in commercial industrial roofing, we also do, we travel a good bit too. So we work in a pretty big radius of those in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama. I mean, you name it, we're licensed and can work in all those areas.
Awesome. Great. Thanks so much, Jordan. Jordan, RPI Roofing. Thanks, guys, so much for joining the Fulcrum Focus podcast. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.